Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Navtej Aluwalia and today we will be talking about emergency fund and everything you need to know about it. Now let's discuss what an emergency fund is and why everyone should have one. In simple words, emergency fund is a set amount of money set aside to cover for unexpected life events. For example, emergency fund allows you to survive on for a few months in case of a job loss, or if you have sudden health problem and need some extra cash, or your car needs some repairs. Emergency fund helps you to pay for these unexpected life events without going into debt. Think of it as an insurance policy. Instead of paying it to the company, you are paying it to yourself so that you can use it later. Now you will say, nah, I don't need an emergency fund. I'll be fine. Let's talk about some of the reasons why it's a good idea to have an emergency fund. Reason number one, having a peace of mind while paying debt. Having an emergency fund can help you stop adding to your debt every time you run into financial trouble. It can cover for the things you don't budget for, like medical bills or car repairs. So use your emergency fund in these stressful events, and this will make it easier for you to focus on getting out of debt. Reason number two, you have just started budgeting. When you first start budgeting, you may accidentally overlook at some of the expenses that needs to be planned for. Your emergency fund can cover some of these costs during the first year, and you can then add these costs to your budget as they arise. These can be your annual expenses such as gifts, insurance, taxes. So, having an emergency fund will help you to stick to your budget. Reason number three, if you only have one income. If you only have one source of income, having a sizable emergency fund is essential. This can help you to get through unexpected job loss or an illness that leaves the main breadwinner of the family unable to work. If you are a single income family, you must have 1 year of expenses in your emergency fund. Reason number four, you own your home. Once you own your home, you will have to pay for any repair and maintenance. Now you should build a reserve fund for any renovation you would want to have in your house, and any annual repairs should already be included in your expenses. But if you may incur some unexpected expenses such as air conditioning or plumbing repairs, having an emergency fund will help you manage these expenses. And this will make owning your home a little less stressful. Reason number five, you live far away from your family. Now, this is one of the reasons why I personally choose to have an emergency fund. Because my parents live in a different country, getting home can be expensive, and the cost will increase if I have to travel last minute in case of an emergency. It is helpful to have a good emergency fund to cover the cost of last minute flight ticket, evaluate the cost of airfare, and any other expenses you may incur, and start including them in your emergency fund. Remember, the last minute flight ticket can be very expensive, ranging upwards of $5,000 to $6,000. And keep in mind, if no economy tickets are available, you might have to fly premium or business. Now, the next question comes to mind is, how much money should I have in my emergency fund? Now, there is no set amount of dollar value used for emergency fund. Emergency fund for everyone is different and is according to their situation. It is recommended to keep 3 months of living expenses in your account if you have a stable income, and 6 months if you have an irregular income. There is no harm in keeping 6 months of living expenses in your emergency fund. For example, Sam works in retail and she earns $4,000 per month. After calculating her rent, bill, fuel, and other expenses, Sam realized that she needs about $3,000 to maintain this lifestyle she currently has. With little saving, Sam won't be able to maintain this lifestyle in case of a job loss, and it will take her about 2 to 3 months maximum to find another job. Therefore, our emergency fund should have 3 months of living expenses, which is $3,000 per month for the next 3 months. This comes to $9,000. Sam should have $9,000 in her emergency fund. This amount can range as little as $5,000 for someone who is in their early 20s and is single, or $50,000 or more for a couple in their late 30s with 2 kids and a house to take care of. Now, if you think that having 6 months of living expenses are not enough for you to have a peaceful sleep at night, you can make it a super emergency fund by having 1 year worth of expenses saved in your emergency fund, especially if you are married and have kids. Now let's talk about where is the best place to park your emergency fund. Now you don't want to put all this money under the mattress at home, because saving money at home is risky because money can be stolen, lost, or destroyed in case of events such as fire. These are exactly the type of events you must save for an emergency fund to survive. This money should be liquid, which means no, you cannot invest this money in stock market or crypto. Don't put your emergency funds into everyday checking account. You should be keeping these funds into a saving accounts, preferably a high saving accounts where you can get some interest on this money, but you should be able to withdraw this money at any time without paying a fee. You may want to save this emergency fund in a separate bank rather than your regular bank so that you can avoid the temptation to dive in. Just make sure that this money can be accessed quickly and easily in case of something unfortunate happens. Always remember why you have an emergency fund and use it whenever you have an emergency. If you don't have an emergency fund, you should start saving for it as soon as possible. To save for an emergency fund, you should start with a budget and find out how much of your actual salary can you save. Now this can be 10, 20, 30% of your take-home pay. Now once you have figured out how much you can save, you should get into a habit of transferring this amount into the designated savings account every time you get paid. Also, we want the money we are saving to work for us. So therefore, as discussed before, we will open an interest-bearing high savings account with our bank. You may want to compare the banks and find out which bank is giving you the highest rate of interest, which is as high as 5 to 6% currently. So start saving for your emergency fund today. Now, is there any situation where you shouldn't be having an emergency fund? When I think about this, the only scenario which comes to my mind is if you have debt. Now, this debt can be anything from your credit card loan to your car loan, but this debt does not include your home loan. People always debate between paying off your debt or saving for emergency fund first. Now, if you are paying for high interest debt, this should usually be your top priority because this is a major financial hardship. You should practice a good financial habit while paying off your high interest debt. Therefore, you should be contributing even small amounts to your emergency fund. At least have $1,000 to $1,500 in your mini emergency fund so that you don't go back into debt while paying off your debt. You can always build a larger emergency fund once you get out of debt. Alright guys, that's all for today. Hope you get something of value from this video. And I will see you soon with another one next Sunday. Until then, goodbye.